From her chin, from the muzzle. It like rubs it and then it'll start bleeding and...
Interesting. What you can do is line the inside with felt or athletic tape.
Oh.
So if you go to like Google
Yeah.
and you can search like, felt muzzle or like lining the muzzle with felt or whatever, you'll see like stuff that people do.
Oh, okay.
The most common thing that we do is we'll put athletic tape on the top of the nose.
Okay.
Because there's typically that third strap that's there.
Yeah,
and
right.
that tends to rub.
Okay.
So we usually put athletic tape there. That's the most common thing. If she's more sensitive, you can line the inside with like glue and just felt.
Okay.
And then come in a little bit over as well, so that it makes it more comfortable.
Nice.
We've done that before, and it makes a big difference. And then for today, like we can remove it for the training, because she's not going to be on the floor with the arm or anything like that. So we can give her a break from that for now.
Yeah, we just put it on her when...
I locked it.
Oh, you're fine. That's fine. She's not gonna unlock
Yeah, you
it.
should push the lock button on the other thing. There you go, and then you just add it. There you go. Excellent. Okay, so we have 2 pieces of hot dogs here.
Wow.
So what we're going to do is, what's our number currently at?
Right now it's at 18.
Let's go ahead and go down to like 12.
Okay.
This is an exercise that you can do inside, and whenever we pair anything with food, we always use very high value stuff, okay? So I don't do like bacon flavored treats or bacon bits or whatever. I just go and get deli meat or summer sausage, hot dog, cheese sticks, whatever. Because one, dog treats are more expensive. And I was like, well, I can just buy bacon and then I can eat it too. So, and it's more incentive for her. So especially if you have a dog that's more sensitive, you definitely want to pair with something more valuable, right? And I would isolate these things. So if she gets any treats outside of her regular diet, I would stop that. Only give her kibble, and anything that she's going to get that's a higher value, always with the collar. Okay, because you're trying to. So she's going to think like, oh man, like all those treats I used to get, I no longer get. I only get with this particular tool. Okay. So then she's going to be making sure this is not old. We just bought new stuff, so I don't think this is old. But I also don't eat hot dogs, so it's kind of like. Let me double check this. But yeah, we use high value stuff.
So, because usually at like lunchtime, when he makes his salad, he has like a couple carrots and a few pieces of cucumbers left over. So should we stop that too? Or?
Yeah, for now. Or use it for training.
Oh.
I don't have a problem with them. Just everything's for this now.
Sure.
So we're trying to pair as much positive with it as possible.
Okay.
Let me go double check real quick.
Stop giving your
I like
treats.
giving her snacks.
We'll save it then and give it to her when we go for a walk.
Oh, okay.
But outside of she wants me to go for a walk. Good sit.
Good sit. They didn't have wipes on you yet. Look at those ears.
You see the goal on the treadmill?
Was there a dog on the treadmill? No, I didn't see. Oh, I was staring at that chunky boy in the ring. Babe, see, I want another. I'd love to get like a gray pitty. I think they're so pretty.
My choice for the next one.
Another pitty.
We're good. Just a small hot dogs.
All right.
All right, so what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna coach you through it. Very simple. Is we're gonna teach the placement. Okay. So this allows you to practice this multiple times a day because it's inside the house. Super simple to teach. And what we're gonna do here is we want to use every opportunity to use that remote. Okay. Using the remote and then pairing it with food. We're not using the food as an incentive. We're simply using the food as a payment. Okay. So it's when you use pressure, she's gonna go there for feed. Okay. So we're gonna start about a square away. We're gonna start with the tapping first. If we see Psylocke go on her own, you're not going to allow her, you're going to pull her back, okay? You're going to keep her here, we're going to relax, start tapping about 2 to 3 taps. If we get no response from her, we're going to bump 12 to 15, repeat. And then once we get the response of her either touching or vocalizing, just keep tapping 2 to 3 times. If no response in terms of going to the bed, I'm gonna keep tapping and then add pressure. Okay, once she goes, I'm gonna feed as the reward. We'll see if she takes the food. Possibility she doesn't. Okay, if she doesn't, then we gotta figure out a way to incentivize her to do so. I'll most likely just finish off the exercise with you, but then I would give you instructions on how we can increase the value of the foods. That this way she goes, okay, well I guess I just have to take it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because then otherwise we're kind of left with nothing.
Okay.
So, questions?
Yeah, I do actually have a question related to what you just said, but also from our training this week. When you, like, we go outside and she goes pottying and whatever, and then we're ready to start, we try to find the working number, right? But like, she is smart enough where she understands that like we're going for a walk, so she stands like right next to us immediately. So
Oh, sure.
it's hard to like, then I'm like tapping her when she's doing what we want her to do, so
Right.
it's hard to.
So what you would look for is, that's technically fine.
Yeah.
Is since she's more sensitive, she's jumping to like the conclusions to avoid the pressure.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Because you can still use the pressure, because what's going to happen, she's going to get frustrated. It's probably in the deflector for you in the beginning,
Okay.
but once you start to walk, it's going to bring her back in again. Okay, so it's
Okay.
going to be a little wonky in the beginning
Yeah.
until we get consistency,
Yeah.
and then once we get consistency, then you can just jump to the number and start the training
Okay.
without having to worry about the whole like confusing thing.
Okay. Okay.
Other questions?
We have 2 other questions.
I already asked the one about her.
What's the 2 other questions?
The other one was about the rain. You wanted to ask about.
Oh, yeah, so should we, if it's raining or misting or anything, should we not walk her because of the
Oh no,
snow?
it's fully waterproof.
Oh.
She goes swimming in that.
Yeah.
You go swimming with that too.
Oh,
Well, we knew it was waterproof. I think she was more concerned that it would like make it worse.
more
or something.
electricity.
It's the
going
same. So
through.
every dog is different. Some dogs get more sensitive. Some dogs are less sensitive. So then you have to figure out where she falls within that spectrum.
Okay.
But yeah, fully waterproof. It's not gonna burn her or anything like that.
Okay.
What I would suggest is that if she is out and it's like misting and there's moisture,
Mhm.
is the heat from her body and the warmth of the collar
Yeah.
can cause a hot spot.
Oh,
Okay, because of the moisture that gets in between there. So then, if a dog is wearing the collar extensively, we rotate it every 2 hours.
Okay.
If it's raining and the dog's getting wet or whatever, I would rotate it maybe every 45 minutes to an hour to different sides.
Yeah.
Okay, because that actually recently happened to a client. She was out all day with her neighbors and they were playing, the dog were licking at the necks and stuff, and moisture got in there. And then she didn't rotate it and then ended up getting a hot spot. So the fur falls off and stuff, it'll scab over, it heals up and stuff, fur grows back, no biggie.
Yeah.
But that's like the worst that could happen.
Right.
So if she's only wearing it for a 30-minute walk, you're perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But if she's outside extensively,
Sure.
you definitely want to rotate it.
Sure.
Okay?
Okay.
Good.
Good, good, good.
So we'll go ahead and bring her over about a foot away. Okay. I know we had turkey in here the other day, so she might smell that. So we're gonna tap, 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 tap. Let's go to 15. And tap, tap, tap.
So
here
when
we
her
feel this.
ears,
So keep tapping and let it equal forward. Tap, tap towards the place. Yep, tap. Take a step forward. Tap, tap, tap. Good. Pull in. Tap, tap. Yes.
wow, sigh.
Good girl.
Good
What was your
girl.
question?
Oh, no, I just said wow.
No, but you were saying something before.
I think it was just about the waterproof collar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, we're good.
So break, and then you're gonna walk backwards. Break, good. Yeah, girl. And we're gonna try that again. And tap, tap, tap. A little bit of leash pressure. Tap, tap, tap. Yes. Girl. Okay. And break backwards. Good. Repeat that 3 more times. Tap, 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 tap. Yes.
Good girl.
Good. Break. Oh, good. Tap, 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 tap. A little bit of leash pull. Tap, tap. Yes. Girl. Do 1 more. Break. So what we're doing here is kind of finding, it's not like the working number that we did last week, because working number, when we're outside, we need effective as quickly as possible, okay? Inside, because we know the sensitivity issue, I go, okay, what's something that we can practice that's not like super important that we can drill, prepare food with? That would be this, okay? So you can be inside your home. And the reason why we're kicking with the pressure first is because we need her to get over pressure. We need her to just kind of accept, like, okay, this is a thing and this is a line of communication, but then pairing something high value with it. So she's like, okay, this is a little stressful, but I do get something really good out of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So here, we're making her do the work first. We're tapping 2 to 3 times. The fidgeting and the whimpering that you're hearing is frustration. Because she has no idea what the hell to do.
For sure.
Okay, because she's never done this before.
Right.
But I'm using that to my advantage. Because most people will be like, well, the dog doesn't know what to do. I'm like, that's exactly why I'm doing it. Because she needs to be exposed to that. It needs to be balanced with this for her to start understanding or associating, like, okay, this isn't a bad thing. I don't have to get worked up over it. Does that make sense?
Sure.
So we're going to continue with this, except now, when you send her, you're going to start moving around the area of place, okay? So I'm going to advance this so you learn how to teach place, but technically we would keep it simple so that you can do this. But if she's doing really well during the week, you can, of course, work on it to make it functional. Okay, so this is meant to be for extended use. So like if a guest were to come over, or if you were to go to a restaurant and you want to pop a towel down in place, she would lay there and she would be stationary for an hour to 2 hours. It's meant for you to have stationary control over her. So right now we're simply just teaching her the concept of when you feel this, you go here, but then we're also using it because it gives us something that we can use food with. Okay?
So at home then, it doesn't matter, we can just put a towel down as the
Yes.
place. Okay.
Place can be whatever.
Okay.
It just has to have a perimeter. Okay? So like this has a perimeter that differentiates this from this.
Right.
I could technically make that chair a place because she can hop up on it, but she'd only have enough space to sit down, right? So you can use a towel, you can use a blanket, dog bed, an ottoman. I had a client use an area rug once.
Okay.
Anything that has a perimeter, you could not send her to a corner and say place because where does it end?
Right.
Okay. Trying to think. One time I forgot, I was at a park and I forgot to bring my placemat. So I just took off my jacket, threw it on the ground, and that became place. It's just something that differentiates where the dog is going to be from the floor.
Okay.
Okay?
Got it.
Other questions?
I don't think so.
Okay. So we're going to cue the word break and walk backwards.
Break.
Now, what
Sorry.
you're going to do,
I do have a question. So, I understand that your main focus is just to get her to that point. So why wouldn't you say place?
because
while
we're
you're-
teaching the behavior.
Oh, okay.
Because, so does she know place?
No.
So it doesn't matter.
She knows lie down and couch, but.
Right, so like
Yeah.
couch, because she has with couch, like she has familiarity with it, right?
Right.
Is you could say couch and she jumps up.
Right.
But the problem is, well, what happens if she doesn't, like, what happens if she jumps up?
Right.
It doesn't allow me to layer the collar. So I get a lot of dogs that are already trained with food or e-collar, and the owner will say like, oh yeah, my dog already knows place. And then I'll say, well, say place, and then they'll say place, and the dog doesn't do anything. I'm like, well, the dog doesn't know place, right? Because it wasn't taught correctly. So for me, I work backwards. I shape the behavior, right? Because like, let's say you did say place, and she hopped right to it.
Yeah.
Well, how are we gonna teach her with the remote then, right?
True.
So then
True.
we start with the pressure first, no words. By the end of class, we will most likely be using the cue of place.
Okay.
But the most important thing today is actually using that and feeding her with this.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So now what we're gonna do, same concept, but when you send Psylocke, you're gonna be sending from different positions,
Okay.
still at a square away. Okay, so instead of coming from the same direction, you're gonna start to change it up.
Okay.
And then I'll still be on food duties.
Okay.
Okay?
So should I go to a different area?
Yeah, you can just walk around, don't worry about heel. And combo stop, that's good right there. And then we're going to tap, 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 now tap and pull, tap, tap, tap. Yes.
Good girl.
Good. And break backwards. Good. Walk around, pick a position. Good. Tap, 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 Then tap and pull. Tap. Yes. Good girl. Okay. 3 more.
So why does she tuck her tail so much?
Because she's going into stress.
Stress, okay. And then when she breaks, her tail goes up again. Well, kind
I'll
of.
have to watch, because I've seen it be tucked, because I think in last class it was tucked.
Yeah, very.
Alright, so go ahead and tap, 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 and then tap and pull, tap. Yes,
Good girl.
good job. And break backwards. Break. Comes out a little bit,
Yeah,
and then it tucks again.
yeah.
So I look at this more as unsure,
Mm-hmm,
but fear, anxiety, and nervousness are all stress responses.
mm-hmm.
So you call it a stressor because it's discomfort,
Yeah.
right? So then she's got to figure out how she feels about it. So that's where the more you expose the dog to this stuff, in the beginning you're going to see what I call it an increase. So like let's say I have a dog that's already anxious, and I'll tell the owner like, hey, in the beginning you're going to see what looks like more anxiety
Yeah.
because you're putting your dog under controlled stress.
Mhm.
But once they work the dog through it, it goes away because the dog knows how to handle it now.
Sure.
We tend to stay away from that kind of stuff when we get a dog that's fearful or nervous, whatever, which is understandable. So if you don't know what you're doing, yes, don't approach it.
Right.
But with this tool, what she's learning is stress is going to happen, but then when I do this, stress goes away.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's actually how we build confidence.
Okay.
So for humans, we don't, like firefighters don't learn to fight fires by not fighting fires.
Right.
You're gonna have to do it,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
So same thing for cops too, right? You don't know how to catch bad guys by not trying to catch bad guys
Right.
and getting shot at and all that stuff.
Right, right.
Those are stressors. So same thing for her, except the things that stress her out are gonna be different than the things that stress us out.
Sure.
Okay? So the more you expose her to that stuff and work her through it, the more the confidence she builds in learning of like, I can handle these things. Because remember, seeing a dog down the street is a stressor.
Sure.
Okay? So we've essentially overrode one stressor with another stressor. But now what the brain learns is, okay, I used to be worked up with dogs walking by, but now there's this thing.
Yeah.
Okay, and this thing is physical, so I can relate to it. So then she has to do math. What's more stressful, the dog over here or this? Well, let me just like keep chill and see what happens. Oh, nothing happened with the dog and nothing happened with the collar. Oh, okay, I don't have to get worked up about it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, because we have to think like they think, and they're super simple, plus they're super primal.
Sure.
Because people want to fix everything with love and affection and treats and furry farts and all that.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's not how it works, okay? We're using this because I'm trying to get her more comfortable with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not using this as the sole means of fixing the problem. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay? Let's go ahead and do a quick little walk around and do a few more of the scents here. So once she starts to get it and it clicks, you're going to start seeing her take the tap and run straight there.
Oh,
Okay, without the leash pressure. And
Okay.
tap, tap, tap and pull, tap. Yes.
Good
Good
girl.
girl. We're gonna do 2 more. Great.
You like hot dogs?
Tap, 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 tap and pull. Tap, tap. There you go. Yeah, girl, good job. Right, great. Good. 1 more. Tip, 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 tip and pull, tip. Good girl. We're at 15, right?
Yes.
Let's try 18. We're gonna keep it still at that same kind of square distance. We're gonna do another 5.
Okay.
Good. And tap, tap, tap. Then tap and pull, tap. Yes. Good girl. Good job. Great. Very good. 1 more. The reason why I'm going up is because I'm wanting a little bit more incentive on her figuring out the proper tap needs to go here.
Sure.
Good. Tip. 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 Tip and pull. Tip. Atta girl.
Good girl.
Good job. Great. Good. 2 more.
Good stuff. Yeah.
She got spooky.
Break.
One more. Was that tapped?
No.
So go ahead and move back and pull.
Okay.
But now she's starting to get the idea here, right?
Yeah.
Good. And tap. 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 Tap and pull. Tap. Good. Okay.
job.
So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna move back a little bit. We're gonna try sending her from a 2 square distance as opposed to 1.
Okay. Like here?
Yeah. Tap. 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 And then tap. Yep. Tap. Good girl.
Good girl.
And break.
Break.
One more.
Nice.
Tap. 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 Yes.
Good
Good
girl.
girl. Good job. Tail's wagging.
Break. Break. Good. 3 more.
See, but she's the dog that will anticipate what you think you want.
Yeah, and that's why so earlier, because she hopped on prematurely, and
Right.
we just pulled her off.
Right.
And then we hold, so if she tries to hop on again, I just pull her back,
Right.
so that she's learning to wait for
Good tip.
the pressure itself before
Right.
making a decision.
Okay.
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 Tap, 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 then tap and pull, tap, much better. Good. Break. 3 more. Tap, 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 tap and pull.
Should he have a longer leash, or is this leash too short
He's
for
good.
her to? Okay.
Yeah.
Get on there.
Because if it's too long, he's gonna have to stretch out more to guide her to the placemat.
Okay.
And wait a second. And tap, 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 tap and pull. There we go, add a girl. And one more, break.
Yeah.
Tap, tap, tap. Yes.
Good girl.
And a girl, good. So we got 2 out of 5 there,
Yeah.
right? That she did on her own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So her process is a little bit slower because, like, we're not doing working number, we're doing more kind of perception.
Okay.
Okay, because we're trying to pair her with the food. Because if we go too high, most likely not gonna want anything to do with this.
Right.
Okay, so we're taking our time to get her comfortable with this. Her demeanor, as we've repeated it, has gotten more comfortable. I don't know if you noticed that, like with coming off and stuff and everything.
Yeah.
Her sits, her tail's still tucking.
Right.
But as you work with her at home and stuff, and you see her get more comfortable, you should start seeing that tail not tucking in and then coming out and stuff,
Okay.
because she's being exposed to it. Okay.
Okay.
Sometimes it can be through this practice and repetition. Other times it's because we're operating too low. So like I've had dogs where they'll be similar, acting like they're scared
Yeah.
and they don't want to do anything, and I'll tell them to keep going up. And the moment the owner gets to a higher number that gets the dog to just do it,
Yeah.
all of a sudden their tail's out and everything, and the owner's like, I would think the dog would be more scared.
Right.
And I go, well, it's because you were at a threshold. Everything under 50, for example, was not enough for the dog to just think like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
And it keeps them in this realm of uncertainty or fear. And as soon as we get them over that number, let's say 55, and all of a sudden the dog's like, I'm just gonna do it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
All of a sudden like, oh shit, that was so bad. And all of a sudden you see them relax. So I don't know what the answer is gonna be,
Yeah.
but that's another possibility, is a lot of times we tend to operate lower, and it keeps the dog in this little realm or limbo where they're not getting over it. So then it's like, all right, I'm gonna just put more pressure on you until you think to yourself, just gonna do it.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they open up.
Yeah.
Okay? Questions so far with this?
I mean, she seemed kind of more vocal with the higher, at least for the last time, she seemed more anxious and vocal with what are we at, 18?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So is that something to be expected too? She might like whine and cry more, or?
I think she's actually doing way better than she was doing last week. I'm going from comparison from last class,
Sure,
right?
Sure.
Like, because there's some, so if you fiddle too much with the collar, it's gonna make it too complicated for you. So what I do is I make a decision.
Yeah.
We're gonna go to 18. See how that works. If on 18 it was consistently like just she was all over the place, I would have probably went down to like 17, 16. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But if it was, sometimes she was good, every now and then she got a little vocal, I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna keep repeating this, and then if I start to see consistencies on her being one way or the other, so if let's say 18 wasn't a problem for her,
Yeah.
I probably would have gone to 21.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just inching up on the pressure to see like where do you fall in terms of what you can handle.
Yeah.
Because remember, to get her comfortable with it, it's exposure to it.
More, right.
So if I only go operate at 15 and 15 is easy, then she's not gonna be able to operate at the higher numbers.
Sure.
No, for sure. And I think even 18 was not that high because when she heard the noise outside, she wasn't even like reacting to it.
Yeah, she turned her head. Yep.
So I think she probably could have gone higher.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it's a process.
Yeah.
This is why I was like, look, there's no rush to this.
Right.
It's something that you can take your time on.
Yeah.
And when you do this exercise, obviously for these lessons I go an hour because I have to teach you to teach her.
Yeah.
But realistically speaking, you would do this 3 to 5 minutes a day.
Oh, okay.
3 to 5 minutes, 2 to 3 times.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
And keeping it short because redundant things tend to stress out dogs. So then we keep it shorter so that this way they're not like worn out,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And if you start to see she dips at a certain point where she just kind of stops taking food or her performance isn't as good,
Yeah.
I would see what your time frame is.
Okay.
You know, and if it's like, oh crap, we pushed for 10 minutes and 10 minutes was definitely too long.
Yeah.
You want to keep it like 7, 8 minutes or, you know, ideally 5 minutes, whatever. So you're leaving her wanting more.
Yeah.
And when we do the feeding, I'm doing very small chunks of hot dog here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not giving big or keeping pieces.
Yeah.
She doesn't care about the size. She
Yeah.
cares about the rate of reinforcement, which means how many times she's being fed.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Let's go and swap handlers here.
Another question
Mhm.
I would have is when we're doing this, we do it 2 to 3 times a day for short periods. Is it important that we vary what we're placing her on, or does that not matter?
That doesn't matter. So ideally,
Consistently the same bed?
you would keep consistent stuff.
Okay.
Because, so let's say you have a dog bed.
Yeah.
You can always use a dog bed.
Right.
But you can have multiple places.
Oh.
You can have like a dog bed in each room.
Yeah.
You can have a dog bed that you use for the house and you move to different rooms. And
Okay.
then maybe for the restaurant stuff, you use a towel.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't teach her 100 things to place.
Okay.
Personally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right? If you're gonna, let's say you toss out her old dog bed and you're like, where do you get a new one? And you bring it home, don't expect her to, don't think you're gonna say place, she's gonna just shoot there.
Yeah.
You have to then teach that new dog bed is now placed.
No, please.
Okay.
And so you come back to this exercise. After a few reps, she'll start to associate, okay, like place means to go to this object now. Okay?
Okay.
Place command is super versatile. So if you had one in each room and you said place in the living room, she'd opt for the one in the living room. If you were in the kitchen and you said place, she would opt for the one in the kitchen.
Sure.
Because she's going by the context. You know, she wouldn't leave the kitchen and run to the one in the living room.
Right.
If you use the same object and you move it around the room or different rooms, she'll learn to recognize the object. So when you say place, even if you've moved it, she's going to recognize place means to go to this specific thing.
Right. Okay.
Or you can have one place in the home and you can teach a dog to send from anywhere within the home, but then you keep where that place is consistent.
Right.
So it's easier for the dog because they know that it's always in the living room next to the TV.
Sure.
So even if I send it from the bedroom or the kitchen or the restroom, she knows it's that exact spot.
Right.
Okay? So it's super versatile.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how, everybody's preference is different.
Yeah.
The most common ones are either they'll keep one in the most common rooms, like the bedroom and the living room.
Yeah.
Or two, they'll keep just one object and then they'll move it around.
Okay.
And I've even had people take a towel and they put over like the cushion of a couch to mark that cushion. So when they say place, it all knows that's their section on the couch. So it doesn't have to be anything specific, but it has to be different
Right.
from anything else that's attached to it.
Okay.
Yeah. And then so as we're training this throughout this week, should we start using the verbal command or not yet?
Yeah, so we're gonna do a couple more reps
Yeah.
without the word, and then we're gonna start leaving the word in place.
Okay.
But this week, anytime you say place, even if she's going there, you're still gonna tap.
Okay.
Okay, because you're trying to find every opportunity to use the remote to expose her to it.
Right.
Okay, so typically, if I say place and the dog shoots there, I wouldn't tap.
Right.
Okay, but that's a dog that takes collar well, no issues.
Right.
Because we're trying to build up her resiliency to it, you're wanting to take every single opportunity, even if she's performing the task.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Other questions?
And then when we do this command, do we have to do it with 2 people, 1 feed, 1?
No, you do one.
Oh, one's okay.
Yeah, this is just to give you an idea. So if you have like a pouch of food or whatever,
Yeah.
training bag, Ziploc bag in your pocket, whatever, that's perfectly fine.
Okay.
The rate, the speed of which we give the reinforcer, ideally, right when she completes it. Okay. However, if you got a bunch of stuff in your hand and it takes you a few seconds, that's perfectly fine too.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, good.
So here, we're gonna guide you through. So we're gonna start the tapping first, and then we're going to add in the leash pressure. Okay. So going to pause right there, and tap,
Tap.
tap,
Tap.
tap, tap, and pull. Tap. Yes.
Good girl.
And break.
Break.
Backwards. Good. One more time.
Okay.
Tap, 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 and pull. Yes.
Good job.
Oh,
wait,
all the way?
wait,
Yeah,
all the way,
all
all
the
the way,
way.
all the way, up, all the way. Oh, no.
Now tap,
Tap.
tap. Good. But you see how she shot back to it?
Yes,
Now
good
technically
girl.
we wouldn't feed there,
Okay.
but because we're trying to get her over pressure, we feed. Right?
Okay, good.
Good girl.
Good job.
Now here, restrict her, pull her back a little bit, right? Because now she's anticipating it's okay. Then wait a moment, pull back a little bit, wait a moment. Good. And tap, tap, tap. There we go, yes.
Ah,
Yeah, girl, good job.
good job.
And,
Great.
yep, 2
Good
more.
job. So I always feel like he lays down the law first and then I'm kind of,
Pull back. Good. A little bit more, pull back. There we go. Good. Pull back. There we go, wait a moment. Good, and tap, 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 tap. Yes.
Good job.
Good girl. Let's go to 21. Because you said 18 is not really bothering you anymore. It's been up a little bit. Okay? Break.
Oh, break. Good girl.
And wait a moment. Good. Now here, look. The tail.
Is it under her butt or is it?
Is it curling?
her legs?
Is it between your legs? No, it's still on the outside.
Is it on the outside?
So it's down, but it's not down in between.
Right.
Okay.
It's down to the side, but still on the outside.
Right, right.
Okay? Tap. Tap. Right there. Go down to 20.
Good girl.
Yes.
Oh, look.
Yeah.
Break.
Good girl.
Break.
Do a couple more. And restrict. Good. Pressure. Pressure. Pull. Good. Hold. Wait a moment. And tap. 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 Yes.
Good job.
Break.
Break.
2 more. Wait a second. Pull back. Right? Good. Wait a second. Yeah, so now it's not as much. Now it is.
No, that's.
Yeah, but I can see she's getting more relaxed here.
Okay.
Tap, 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 tap. Yes.
Good girl. That was only
And
two
as we
taps.
increase the pressure, one
Yeah.
more time,
Okay. Good girl, break.
I would expect her to regress a little bit,
Okay.
right? Because if she's comfortable with 18 and we bump it to 21,
Right.
you're putting more pressure on her,
Sure.
and then she's gonna tuck in a bit. You keep exposing her, and then all of a sudden, 21's not a big deal.
Right.
And you're just gonna work your way up.
Okay.
Tap, pull, tap, 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 tap. Little leash pressure, tap. Yeah, the girl, good job.
Good girl, Mama.
Good.
Okay, great.
So now what we're gonna do is
So,
gonna,
I have a quick question. So, when we're tapping, I should not be walking towards?
No.
Not at all, okay.
So-
Okay.
because,
And I think I did that 1 or 2 times.
yeah, when you
Yeah.
move towards it, you're building momentum, because she's already incentivized to go there. Because she's, starting to go on her own, right?
Sure.
Is you're doing part of the work. So I do stationary
Mhm.
because it's super obvious that the tapping is what's getting the dog to go there.
Mhm.
Does that make sense? So that's why we're doing tapping first, then the leash pull.
Okay.
Okay, so on a couple of the ones that you did, on the third tap, you saw her go there.
Yeah.
Super obvious,
Yeah.
right? So we're working backwards. Typically, we would do leash pressure and tapping at the same time,
Sure.
and then go to tapping.
Sure.
But because I want to expose her more, I'm flipping it
Right.
and making her figure out through pressure and then adding in the leash afterwards. So I'm making her work harder than I would typically make other dogs do. Okay? So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go and start layering the word place.
Okay.
What you're gonna do is you're gonna say place once.
Mhm.
Okay, you're gonna say place, then the tapping is gonna start, the 3 taps. If no response, then the tap with the pull.
Mhm.
Okay?
Mhm.
Go ahead and move around. Good. Pause right there.
Oh, pause.
You're gonna hold for a second. Now you're gonna go cute place
Place.
and tap. Tap. Yes.
Oh, good girl. Wow. Great.
Very good. One more.
Okay.
Pause right there. Hold on a second. So I'll add like a little gap of time just to see if she's going to prematurely go there.
Yeah.
Okay? Place.
Place.
Tap. 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 Tap and pull. Yes. Good girl. Break. Good. 3 more.
Yeah. Okay.
Good. Wait a second. Yep, that's some pressure. That's okay. As long as she doesn't try to go to it. Now place.
Place.
Tap. Tap. There you go.
Good job.
Yes. Good girl.
Good girl.
Great. 2 more.
Don't move your feet.
Wow. I know. I just want to be like, here, go this way.
Wait a moment. Place.
Place.
Tap. 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 And girl.
Ah,
Good girl.
Good girl.
And 1 more.
Okay, break.
Oops. Place.
Place.
Tap.
Babe, stop moving your feet.
There we go. Let's go to swap handlers. You're in detention for moving your feet.
I know.
No, you're fine.
Oh.
So, very good. So I'm gonna have you do the same thing, and then we'll stop and talk about how you're gonna practice this, okay?
Okay.
And we're gonna increase to about 3 squares away.
Please go back. So you do like 20 then?
Yeah.
Okay. Place.
Tap. 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 Yep, tap. There you go. And at that distance, you're gonna have to inch forward a little.
Okay.
But you're just refraining from doing so as best you can.
Sure.
Okay.
Does it matter if she sits before she does place?
I just that she's stationary,
Okay.
so it's very obvious that she's going from one spot to another. Little sploot. And place.
Place.
Yep. Yes.
Good girl.
And as soon as she heard place, saw her, she kind of.
Yeah.
Break. 3 more.
Good job.
Mm-hmm.
Place.
Tap. 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 Yes.
Good girl.
Good girl stuff.
2 more.
Right.
What's that on her neck? Is that from the promise of before? I think so. That's the same one.
Place.
Yep. Yes.
Good
Good
girl.
girl.
And 1 more.
Break.
So how many times should she be placing within the course of 2 to 3, 4, or 5 minutes?
As many as you can do.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, if you're saying place and she's shooting there, like, you're gonna be doing more.
Right.
And that's what we're trying to get to, is build what I call ease of response. If I say place, boom. Right, so some of them it's pretty straightforward. Some of them you see her kind of get caught off guard with the pressure.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about right now how fast. I'm just worried about building comfort and pairing positive with the pressure.
Yeah.
Okay. Place.
Are you tapping? Or?
Yeah, girl.
Good girl.
Yeah. Alrighty. So here we're gonna talk about how we apply this. Okay. So right now, of course, we're just practicing this for the sake of the repetitions, and giving us another thing to work on to expose to the collar. For the outside stuff, what you'll do is, if you go to 30, your leash is good, the length is good, you have open space, and she's forging, and you're turning and tapping, and she keeps forging. Every turn and tap, okay, or every 3 turn and taps, bump your number 3 levels. Okay. You might end up at like 59. You're probably going to get some vocalization. Okay. So we have 2 exercises. We have to get over the healing exercise because that's the baseline for the reactivity. Okay. And she has to learn to give in the pressure at the same time. I wouldn't worry so much about pairing food here. Probably going to be too difficult. Okay. This is something you can do inside, lower degree.
Sure.
And then as you see her get more comfortable, you're just going to start increasing that pressure. Okay. So 15, 18, and 21 was enough to get her to go on her own, like maybe 5% of the time. There's only like a handful of times she shot there by the 3rd tap, right? Is we're not high enough to incentivize her, like, hey, you want to go there quickly. Okay. But I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about exposure. So for this exercise, when you go home, 3 to 5 minutes, 2 to 3 times a day. Okay. Once you've taught the object, you can make it more difficult by simply increasing the distance. Okay. I usually do reps of 5. I don't know if you guys have noticed, everything I've always done pretty much reps of 5. And if you did 5 and she's still kind of sloppy, I do another 5. And if you see it gets better, then I progress to a foot away and make it a little bit more difficult, right? And then you do 5, still sloppy, do another 5. Okay. Still sloppy, oh, time's up, no big deal, we'll do this again later. And you kind of pick off where you left off at, okay? And it's just doing 5 and 5 and 5 until eventually you're like, man, from 3 feet away, she's pretty solid. Boom, another step back, okay? Typically, I always tell people 4 to 6 feet is the average, but even if she's getting real good at that distance, I would still keep pushing her for the sake of exposure. Okay, that's the only thing I care about. And if one day you realize, hey man, like, you've been walking around the heel, she's great, like we tap her, she's not yipping and yelping and stuff, and then she's kind of over the concept of the pressure, then I don't worry about drilling out the exercise anymore, because that was the intention of it, okay? So with this, if you want to work on stationary control, which means don't move for a while, let's say you're gonna watch TV, sit down on the couch, move her dog bed or towel, whatever you're gonna use, right next to you, place, she goes, and then she's gonna be set up on her equipment. 30 minutes later, Psylocke's gonna get bored. She's gonna try to get off. You're not gonna say anything. You're just gonna start tapping, a little bit of leash pressure. She goes back, I go back to watching TV again. So you don't even have to get up, okay? So I am Glen's man's dog trainer. I say train about as you go about your life, okay? You're gonna watch TV, you're gonna work from home, read a book, eat lunch, dinner, whatever. Anytime that you're just gonna sit there, just plop it down next to you, Psylocke place, tap, center there, and then dogs technically have to perform the behavior in order to learn not to do it. So I can't tell Psylocke, hey, go here and don't move, otherwise you're gonna get corrected. She has to do it, okay? So that's why I would suggest doing longer periods of time when you can. So if it's like, hey, we're gonna watch Godzilla vs. Kong.
Already did.
You already did, is it good?
It's not bad.
Okay, that's on my to-do list for tomorrow. That's the Easter plan. So, 2-hour movie or whatever. Place, 45 minutes in, she's like, nah, this is boring. She gets up, tap, 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 she goes back, you go to continue to watch the movie, okay? So having her stay put for longer is what's challenging. It's the mental aspect of not doing anything. It's kind of like with kids growing up, we used to go to church, and my mom would say, like, all right, going to church, you gotta behave yourself. So for an hour, I have to be as quiet as possible. And you're fiddling, going into the pews and like
Right.
looking through Bibles and stuff
Yeah,
like that, because you're trying to not be loud, but also like move.
Yeah.
Same for dogs.
Yeah.
Okay. So as she can sit, stand, or lay down on place, there is no specific position to it. It's simply stay within the perimeter.
Okay.
Okay. You might find that she starts whining while she's on place because she's going, hey, this is boring. I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
You can either, one, ride it out, and then she just gets bored and she just chills.
Yeah.
Or two, if you feel like the whining is escalating, it's getting louder or whatever, she's becoming more demanding,
Yeah.
you can use the collar to correct her.
Okay.
But expect some confusion.
Yeah.
So she's going to be on place, she's going to whine, you're going to correct her, she's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be here. She's going to try to step off. You kick in with pressure again. She comes back, she's like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
She got tapped, and I left it, but then pressure kicked in again, and I came back and went away. So that tap must have not been for being on place. It must have been for something else.
Uh-huh.
So it usually takes dogs about 2 to 3 times. So like if they bark on place and you want to correct them, you can do that, but expect them to flush off.
Yeah.
If they whine on place, or you might see her get kind of testy, where she'll like slowly kind of inch off the place.
Yeah.
Okay.
She does do that, especially in the morning on her bed, but it's very cute. She just kind of eventually slowly starts to slide. But she does whine when we're stationary in the car, and then also, like I was doing laundry today, and then whine, whine, whine. I want to play with her frizz, so it's like, I don't know. So in that case, we should always have the leash on her?
In the beginning, correct.
In the beginning, okay.
Because she's going to take her options. So if there's no leash on her, she's going to take off.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the beginning, for the first few weeks, you're going to have that leash on until it's been conditioned that she knows tap means to stay on place or go back to place.
Okay.
Okay.
And definitely, if you see her like starting to scoot or whatever, you want to correct that, and just make sure that the object that you're using, there's space enough for her. Because if it's too small and she's like half of it, she's half on and half off it, not so much her fault.
Sure.
Right? So you want to use an object that's clearly enough space for her, make it super obvious, like, okay, you're just testing boundaries.
Yeah.
Okay. Other questions?
Say, shoot, it's so cute when she slides out of her bed.
Okay, irrelevant.
I'm just saying.
Anyway, I have a question. So we're like training this, right? And we're positive reinforcement with the treats. But like if we're gonna do the longer term, would we still use treats or no?
Just for the repetition stuff.
Okay.
Because it's redundant, but also because we're doing so much remoting, like we did a lot today.
Yeah.
It's really that exposure and then here's something out of it.
Sure.
With the actual application of it, could you? Sure. Is it necessary? No.
Okay.
But definitely the shorter 3 to 5 minute sessions where you're doing a lot of tapping, you want a pair of food. Okay. Other questions?
I think I'll ask this for her because I know one of the biggest things when we're training is she feels bad about like the dog yelping or whatever. And I get your point. Like I understand what we're trying to do here, so I don't feel as bad. But so your thing, like you're telling us today, is like we want to do this, we want to give her as much exposure to this so she gets used to it and understands it. So just for her sake, is there a point where we can do too much of this?
No.
You better hear.
Oh, I do.
Like today, we did an hour.
Right.
But I stop and I talk to give her some breaks to decompress. But that's why I said 2 to 3 times a day, 3 to 5 minutes. Keeping it short, right? There's no such thing as too long with stationary work because it's not redundant.
Okay.
It's just go here and don't move for the next 2 hours. Okay, so you can do 30 minutes, you can literally go home and do 2 hours right now.
Yeah.
Just expect her to make mistakes.
Sure.
And that's why I say do it right next to you. Because if you do it and she's across the room, you're getting up and walking back, 20 times.
Right.
And then make it super simple and like just plop the bed right next to you and then just have your dog be there for a long period of time. Okay. But when it comes to the discipline and the collar, the way that we're layering it and stuff, in my opinion, no. There's not such thing as too much, unless like you're doing 20 times a day,
Sure.
But 2 to 3 times a day, 3 to 5 minutes, you can even do 4. 2 and 2 sessions, Also your energy about this. So if you just come into it like your energy is good, you're like, this is what we do. Great. But if your energy is like, I know, Psylocke, it sucks, but we can't do it, That's what she's picking up on. So someone asks you like, hey, how's that guy's over his combo? You're like, well, like right off the bat, the person's like, all right, well, you don't like it. You know what I'm saying? And so it's the same thing here. So she's like, oh, like, if you don't like it, why should I like it? So that's why I'm always indifferent or upbeat.
Sure.
And also when she performs a task, good girl, right? And then feed. On to the next one. Okay. Other questions?
Should we then? So with that, then, so the walks for the heel, because we were doing like 2 to 3 sessions of 20 minutes a day for that? Do we keep that or do we decrease that?
I would keep that.
Keep that.
Yeah, 20 minutes, because the walking, so E-call is a stressor, the walking alleviates stress.
Okay.
So as we build up stress, she's also releasing at the same time, which is
Yeah.
why the heel exercise is so important.
Sure.
Because it does so many things for the dog, helps them alleviate any stress that we're building up through the collar. Dogs tend to want to move when they feel the collar, and of course the heel is a moving behavior, so she's also being able to do that, but also allows us to teach her how it turns on and how it turns off. Okay, so small, and you can even do an hour, because again, it's not redundant. As long as she's at your side, you just keep walking forward. You're only tapping when she's getting ahead of you. Okay, so it's more so when we do redundant or repetitive exercises that we keep it super short because of that. You know, I actually had a client once where I told them to sit, stand, sit, stand, and sit, stand. They got pissed.
Yeah.
Because it's, you know, for the dog, it's stupid.
Yeah.
So then they get frustrated, like, okay, and that's why they end up going like, well, I'm not going to get off the place now because I know you're just going to tap me to go back on again. But we have to make them break off the place because of for the sake of the exercise.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
So, anything else?
So just to reiterate, as far as if she's pulling when we're trying to heal, you do it 3 times and then you increase it by 3.
3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So after the 3rd turn and tap, if you don't see an improvement, 33. Turn and tap, turn and tap, turn and tap. 36, right?
Yeah.
As soon as you hit the appropriate number, it's going to be boom.
Right.
And now we walk for 10 minutes without her pulling again.
Sure.
So we're trying to get greater gaps between each correction.
Yeah.
But if it's like, yeah, man, we can't even like get around the block, then we're too low.
Okay.
Okay, and you want to make life easier, go somewhere quiet.
Okay.
Go somewhere quiet, don't worry about dogs, get that just out the picture,
Yeah.
and then get the baseline down.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, we're at 45 with no dogs around, you know? And then you start to add in more distractions or whatever, and then you can pinpoint your number from there as well. Okay, cool, good.
And then just to find her number when we're doing place, it'll be lower because it's in the house.
Yeah.
And then would we do the same thing where we just, you know, as soon as she starts responding, that's her working?
You just start at that number. So
Okay.
earlier when I saw her kind of just fidget a little bit,
Yeah.
right there.
Okay.
I'm not looking for the big drastic reaction.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So we're not looking for a working number, you're looking for perception number,
Okay.
which is the subtler kind of
Yeah,
like what's
the
going
ears
on.
go up or she'll turn a little.
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
Good.
And then if you feel like she's comfortable with that setting, 3 levels.
Okay.
So we're still trying to expose her to more power, but we're just doing it much more gradually.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
Cool. Good. Break.